So yesterday I got my new light. This is Godox ML100Bi, and I got it mostly for my outdoor shoots. When I shoot some videos for my other channels, or I shoot some videos for other people, and we are outside in a shady area, so it is usually in the forest. It is shady in terms of the shadow, not it's shady because it's dangerous. And before I tested Nanlite 240C in that scenario, and I have also tested this one. This is Join G300, and they both work great. The June is actually quite small, but each time I use them, I have to bring this power station, which weighs 7 kilos. So I have to have a beach trolley to lug this around, and in the forest it's quite annoying because there are a lot of roots and stuff like that. The road is uneven, so I thought I would get this one because this one has USB-C power delivery, and actually for the LED lights, which are powered by DC, this is much better solution because you just plug DC power into the USB-C and you're good to go. Although some people said that this supports only 30 watts, I've seen some reviews online. I have my INIU power bank. It is rated up to 140 watts, so you can actually charge MacBook Pro with it. And I'm connecting USB-C into the, and also this cable shows the power drone, so I can turn this on, and not sure you can see it, but I will try to show it. So not sure you can see this, but it says here 100 watts up there. That means that this negotiated 100 watt power delivery, and I can actually run it at 100%. So from this power bank. I also have the second power bank, which is much smaller. It is also INIU. It's different battery technology. This one has 99.9 watt hours, as far as I remember, yes. And this one has, the letters are so small for the old person, 90 watt hours. So it's like half of the size of the big one, but just 10% less power. And this one is rated up to 100 watts, but sometimes it does not negotiate 100. So if I connect it, when I connect it right now, it turned on, but it says just 65. So I'm not sure it's visible. Should be. So it says only 65 here. I don't know why it does that sometimes, but sometimes if I restart it or reconnect it, then it is fine. It switches to 100. Let me see. So it's kinda random with the smaller one, but the big one is always at 100. This one is still 65, even though before it was sometimes at 100. I don't know, maybe I should like reconnect it. Anyway, the cable is rated for 100 watts. I tested different USB cables and it was not able to get the whole 100. And whenever this light is not able to negotiate the correct power delivery, then you have, for example, now it says 60 watts, so different setting. It negotiated different setting. You can see it says 60 watts. So it's kind of random with the smaller one, but with the bigger one, whenever I plug it, it says 100 watts. And before I was able to have the proper exposure with the June at 1 or 2%. This is 300 watts light. This is 100, but there are some caveats. So with June, I was able to have proper exposure with 3 ND stops at 1 or 2%. It depends what look I was going for and how far the light was. So I should be able to expose correctly with this light too, because this light has a trick upon its sleeve, because the reflector has a Fresnel lens in it. So this is on outside, this is a reflective material, but inside there is also a Fresnel lens. You can see it here. That means that the output is amplified by this Fresnel lens, but that might be problematic. Not sure it would be visible, but let me try. It's at 5%, and not sure you can see, but there is a hotspot. Definitely there is a hotspot. So this thing creates a hotspot, and that might be problematic. It is 15 degrees reflector, and the bigger reflectors are usually 45, between 45 and 50. So that might be a problem, that it creates a hotspot on my face or on my body and it looks bad. So that might be a problem. And also I'm wearing red shirt on purpose to see how that renders the colors. And actually I'm running this at 1%, and my power bank says it takes 8 watts and it will run for 17 hours. So that's impressive, although I'm not sure at 2% it will be enough. I guess I tested this slightly with my Sekonic, and it seems that at 5% maybe I would be able to get the correct exposure with 3 ND stops, but that might be also 10. I don't know, because I was just measuring from my hand, so it depends, but at 5% it can be powered by this power bank for 14 hours, so plenty enough for me. And that way I have the light and the power for this light. I can have it in my pocket, and basically it is so small. The unknown factor is how loud are the fans. They never turn on me yet, so we will see. But outside I'm not that afraid about the fan noise, unless it's really atrocious. I've heard it's not that bad, and especially they are pointed outside, so might not be really bad. So that's the setup. The annoying part is that I only have a short cable. I ordered 3 meters long cable for this light, but Amazon of course delayed the package. If this included reflector is creating the hotspot, if this is annoying, I bought the converter, because unfortunately this light is not a Bowens mount, it is Godox mount, so I have to buy the converter. It was like $15 maybe, something like that, and that way I can install anything I want. So I put a converter here, and then I can install, for example, Godox reflector, Bowens Godox reflector, and it's there. So this one does not create the hotspot, or maybe the hotspot is smaller, but it is also not ideal. It's turned on, but since the reflector is much bigger, I'm not sure that would be visible. I guess I have to take it into my hand. Yeah, so I guess you can see it. It creates the halo outside. So there is a hotspot from the reflector, and there is also additional halo from the reflector. So there are like two rings, and if you look closely, there's another halo outside. It also depends probably on the power of the light. So there is a hotspot from this small CoB, but now it's at 25%, and I'm really close to the wall. But yeah, that is also not ideal, although it is probably better than this small reflector. But with this, it might not be powerful enough. You can still see this halo. So there is a circle from the reflector, and there is a halo around, because you can see this halo because this reflector is not optimized for this small CoB chip, because this chip is much smaller than any other lights. So that's why there is this halo effect. I can check different reflector, but this does not change much. This reflector is from the Amaran 300C. So let me check it. Same thing. You can see it's even worse, because like there is, not sure it's visible. Yes, it's visible. So there is a ring from the reflector which gets like darker on the edge, and then there is another ring which is also there is like strange shadow which is going from darker to less dark, and then there is a ring of light and there is another shadow. So with this reflector it's even probably worse than with the Godox one. But I guess I would take both of these reflectors to the field and check them, how this works, and if it's even able to have the correct exposure with this bigger reflector. We'll see. What I also got is, which is quite nice, I also got this application for my iPad. It is Monitor Plus. It is much better than Sony's Monitor and Control, mostly because you can have this, and this is EL zones, which are freaking fantastic tool for exposure. Although it seems like the EL zones in this app are a bit different than EL zones in Atomos. They are like showing half the stop brighter. So you have to have this in mind, that maybe this is not as accurate, or maybe the Atomos EL zones are not that accurate. It's hard to tell, but it seems that EL zones here are a bit different than EL zones in Atomos. I'm also not sure how good would be the iPad mini outside, if this is bright enough to see the exposure. I don't know, but we'll see. And I will get this, I will try to have this in one bag. And actually, I don't need really big stand for this light. It is really small and light. It's, I think, like 400 grams or something. So I have really small light stand, and I probably don't need, it goes to 2 meters, 20 centimeters. So it is enough. It is a bit wobbly, as you can see, but it shouldn't be a problem. The only problem is that I have this short USB cable that is able to power or send through 100 watts. So I would have to somehow attach it to the light stand, but at least I don't need to get this really big and heavy light stand. So actually, probably I'm able to get just Peak Design sling, the 10-liter one, and I would be able to attach this stand and probably the tripod beneath the back, or I can have them in my hands, and I'm able to move through forest with the minimal setup, with actual light. That the spec says that due to this Fresnel reflector, it can output 33,000 lux at 1 meter, which is very impressive for 100, but of course it is due to really concentrated light from this Fresnel. So it is not that it's as powerful as, for example, much bigger like 600 watt lights, but it is still impressive for that small thing. So I'm going to pack this up and go to the forest and see how good or bad that looks. And And actually I'm wearing this red shirt on purpose because the render score I checked briefly, and of course as for most CoB lights, you can see this here probably. The red and blue are the worst, but the blue wouldn't look really contrasty in the forest when everything is green. So I opted for the red one to see if this is rendered correctly. It seems on the screen now, because I'm monitoring with the S-Log LUT, it seems that it's really nice, maybe a bit oversaturated compared to what I see in real life, but this is the Jowin G300. So I will see how this one looks and if it's any good. And also, I wouldn't use this for Oscar movies. So it really doesn't matter if this is not like top-notch light. If this is a bit off, it's not a problem. If this is off as like house LED lights, the crappy ones, now I upgraded to really good ones, which has CRI at 97 or 99 even. They are really good, and TM30 is also very impressive for the LED lights I installed in the house. So yeah, probably I don't bother if this is a bit worse than any other light, but if it is lame, I would send it back. I doubt this 72 shouldn't be that bad. And what is TM30 for this? TM30's RF is 92. Damn it. So it's 92 and 101. So color fidelity is not the best, and also the CCT at 5600 Kelvin is 52. So maybe I would take this with me to see. What is actually the color temperature of the sun, or what is the color temperature of the ambient light, and I will try to match it with the Godox and see if this changes, if the CCT changes if I use different modifier. Probably it will, but like 400 kelvins in the CCT is quite significant. So yeah, I guess I would have to dial in 5600 if my white balance in the camera is set to 5600, which it is. So yeah, I will see you in an hour, probably maybe 45 minutes. I have to drive to the forest and I have to go to my usual spot and set up all this crap. So we'll see. And I'm not taking the shot back. I think it is, I guess it's that light that it shouldn't fall, and if it falls on me. If I have a talent on set, I would probably have a shot back, but this time I won't take it. Although I'm not sure I would be able to put everything into one bag, because I have to take those two big reflectors, and then if I see if those reflectors make sense or not, I can like slim down the whole setup. It would be already slimmed down compared to what I had before, because I don't need to bring this. This is 7 kilos and it is quite big. So that would be actually fantastic, and might be the case that I don't need 100 watts for my shots. So then this would be my power, and this would be able to power this for 10 hours. So it is also a good news. And another thing is that Godox have 36-degree reflector like this one. This one is 15 degrees. So maybe this 36 would be a sweet spot. I will see. I will have 15 and 45, and this 36 will be just between those two. If this is too narrow and the bigger one is too wide, then I will order the 36. But I wanted this to be the cheapest possible option, a part of being the smallest. So I paid like 120, maybe 140 bucks for this, but I bought it from Amazon, and con is then on Amazon, even though there are 4 kits of this light, like the basic kit I got is just a light, this thing, this mount and power brick and nothing else. There is another kit with a bag, which probably I would prefer, but it seems it was like 50 bucks more expensive. So sorry, I'm not paying for crappy bag 50 bucks. And actually I can probably pack it into the Peak Design sling, then I don't need any bag. And there are two different kits. One is with V-mount adapter, so you can actually power this via V-mount, either via USB cable or the barrel connection it has. And also there is a power bank kit with the power bank mount, which is quite a good idea. But I think with 3 meters cable, I'm able to put the power bank on the ground and it doesn't matter. So yeah, that would be my setup for today, and I will see you within 45 minutes. Okay, so I'm on location and I had to use the grocery bag to bring the stuff in, but this is mostly because I have 2 of these strange reflectors, and if this reflector is enough, I don't know if it would be enough, then I should be okay with just this bag. This is Peak Design 10-liter swing. So I'm going to attach the camera here. I already connected this light to my phone. The only con is that this is dangling, so that could drop anytime. And without the shot bag, it's not very stable, but it won't be toppled because there is no wind. It is quite sunny today, although there are clouds. So I'm going to set up the main camera and see what's going on. Okay, so I have the camera set up. There is a iPad on top, and I have EL zones on, and I can see now, not sure it's visible on this camera. Actually, my face exposure is not bad. There is a spot here, like this is overexposed, and I'm at 3 stops of ND, so I would probably have to switch to 4, but I would start with 3, and with 4 I kind of doubt this light would be enough, but let's see how that looks. So this is the setup. The light is here. Maybe I should angle it a bit different because that thing has a kinda narrow beam of light, so maybe I would have to move it a bit, angle it a bit outside, but let's see. So this is the look without the light. It is not bad. I'm not sure the sun is behind the clouds. Maybe it is. Judging from the EL zones, like some stuff in the background is overexposed or on the verge of being overexposed. It is 2 stops over, so still probably not overexposed, but quite bright. And my face is, I guess, not bright enough. So I have a Godox application configured and connected this light. And let's see if that makes any difference. It makes a difference. It's at 5%. So I'll turn on the EL zones to see exposure of my face. And now it seems like, am I overexposed? A bit, like there is this patch of light and it's quite bright. I guess it's like shining over me. I can see the difference on my t-shirt. So I have 2 mics because one is connected to Action 5, one is connected to main camera, but I don't know. Probably I should switch to, because it's quite sunny today, I should switch to 4 stops of ND, but let me check the 3 stops first. On a screen, it doesn't look bad. I have actually the waveform, so I can see the exposure. Sorry, I'm looking up, but I have the monitor there. It would be better to have it on the side, but... And this is ZV-E10 S-Log3 800 ISO, 3 stops of ND. And this is the look. So I'm going to 10%. Not sure there is much of a difference. I'm definitely less green with that light, because now I'm green because there is a green foliage all over the place. And I will check also what is the ambient light, what is the city of ambient light, and how the ambient light looks like. Might be the case that this is not strong enough to cut, like it's like 2.5 meters from me, something like that. And if I'm looking at the light, then I'm blinded for a second. So it is really strong. And judging, let me turn it off. Now I have a spider in my bag. So actually the sun is behind me, or like there, somewhere there. And let me check what Sekonic says about the ambient. Okay, it says 5300 Kelvin, which means that light is kinda 2230 lux. Not much, but maybe I'll try again. No, yeah, now because this was because this was in the shallow, so now it is 3300. That means I should be rather at 4 stops than 3 stops. It might be a bit too dark. The background might be a bit too dark. Probably the best would be 3.5 stops, but I just have like full stops increments. So that's that. And the SSID for the daylight is 97, and it's actually at 55. So now I have to tune this to be at 55 too, I think. It is actually 5584, so almost 5600. This light is set to, the light is set to 5600, but it was off. So let me check if it is off now. It is 5440 something, so I will go to 57. It probably doesn't matter that much. Yeah, at 57 it is 555. Not sure it's visible. I guess I have to cover my face. Anyway, it's 5550 Kelvin, so it is close to 56. So now I guess I have to set the proper exposure. It is definitely better than without the light, in my opinion. At least what I see on the monitor is quite far away, so it's hard to tell, but it doesn't look bad, although this 10% may be not enough. Now I have it at 15, and I can see like the hotspot here, but I'm not sure if the hotspot is from the sun. So yeah, and what about the EL zones? The EL zones says I'm overexposed, like here I'm overexposed. So I don't know. I mean, if and also this shoulder is kind of overexposed, while the rest is in the shadow. So it's hard to say. Like the exposure of my face is close to the exposure of the highlights behind me. Shame I cannot turn this off remotely. I can, but now it is at 15%. So in theory it is overexposed, but in practice, what does the camera says? It's +1. So actually for the camera it's not, and I think it's quite okay-ish. If I turn off the light, then it's really green because of all the reflections from the foliage, and if I turn it on, it's not that bad. Although maybe I have to like slightly move it to the side because it has a narrow beam, so now maybe it's a bit better because now it shines like directly to this part of my face. Before it was like the beam was like going through my face, so maybe it's better now. I can see even that my whole t-shirt is brightened up. The con is that I'm blinded. I have it in my peripheral vision, so it's blinding me a bit, but I think what I see on the screen, it's not bad. Although now I can see that the stuff behind me is much brighter, so I will try now the bigger reflector, and I think maybe I could find 4 stops of ND with this light, but just with this Fresnel with the reflector I doubt it. So now I will switch to bigger reflector and we'll see how that works. So I will start. So now I have a Godox reflector on it using the Bowens mode adapter, and let's see if this is any good, if this is even able to change the exposure of my face with this bigger reflector. Like you can see, this is fairly recessed, so actually probably that ring I've shown before is created by the reflections from this part, and then the probably whole reflector is also a bit illuminated. So yeah, you can probably also check what is the color temp. So this is without it, and at 15% I doubt there would be much. There is some actually, and not sure you can see how that looks like. Yeah, I think you can see that there is a hot spot of the CoB, then it reflects from the reflector, but there is this darker ring inside probably because of this adapter. And yeah, that's weird. I'll try to expose this correctly now, and I can see that the sun is out at my mostly at my shadow, and now it is at 15%. I think it's not bright enough. I will check what is the color temp with this reflector. It's 5624 and SSID is 74, so it is quite okay. The close, and when it's that close, it's 25,000 lux, but it was really close. So now I have to see if I'm able to expose it correctly. Let me go to 100%. Yeah, 100% with this reflector. I think it's still not overexposed. Maybe a bit. Let me see the EL zones. I probably won't be able to. It seems overexposed on EL zones, so I'm going back to 50%. It is still overexposed, but I doubt I will be able to expose this correctly with 4 stops of ND with such a reflector. Here, I don't know what's the difference at 50. I guess it's not bad, but I have to run it at 50. But definitely, like, I'm illuminated much more. Like, this is the same angle than before. Maybe it's a bit too low for this reflector because it's probably like, I don't know. I'm blinded now because I looked at the light. It's really bright, so I don't see really the screen now. But so it is 50%, and definitely this exposure is bad, and with the light is better. Although I'm not sure about my face. Like, maybe it's a bit too low. So maybe I would actually try to move it higher. And the sun, I can see the sun is out. I don't see my face on the monitor, but I think this I'm guessing this exposure is okay. So it is running at 50% at the moment at 5700 Kelvin. So I will try the other reflector, and then I would switch to 4 stops of ND and see what's going on. So this is the exposure with the Godox reflector at 50%. And yeah, definitely 3 meters from myself it is visible. Okay, so now I have the Amaran reflector. Maybe I should also have taken the June one. So maybe next time I would take the June reflector, and let's see how that looks if I turn it on. It seems like this, maybe this ring inside is smaller, and I think it seems that the reflector is illuminated more evenly, but let's see how that looks. So this is without the light, and this is with the light. I think this one is better. Not sure it's stronger, but I think it's like more even. Even though when I check this on the, when I check this on the wall, it was kind of crazy pattern, like this circle, and then external ring, darker ring, and then brighter ring, but it doesn't look that bad. So yeah, so I think this one is better. So now I will add 1 stop of ND and see if it's possible to have the proper exposure. This one seems to be kind of proper. Let me see. It's 1.3 and I can see some zebras, but and without the light is 1.32, so it does not impact the total exposure that much, but I think it looks better with the light than without the light. So yeah, it's not bad, I think. Anyway, I will add another stop of ND and see if it's possible to get a proper exposure. I think with the bigger reflectors it's not possible, but let me see. Okay, these are 4 stops of ND, so actually the background doesn't look bad. It is still, there are some elements which are still like 2 stops over, or maybe even 3 stops over on the background when the sun is out. My face is definitely underexposed, even though this thing claims there are some parts that are 2 stops over, like this on my forehead, and now unfortunately there is a cloud. I can see this on my shadow, that my shadow got really mushy. That means there is a cloud. Before, when the sun was out, my shadow was really sharp. So yeah, that's the, but yeah, maybe with EL zones I can see the exposure from the light, if it's doing anything. It is actually. So yeah, I'm still underexposed with the light, I think. Maybe I'll check this. Like it says is I'm probably 1 stop over, which should be okay for S-Log3. It does look bad, I think. Then actually that ray of light looks quite nice in the background. So let me go to 100%. Yeah, maybe. It is with the Amaran reflector. It's really bright, and you can see how harsh the shadow is. Like I cast the shadow from my hand. But actually, maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's not bad. And now the fan kicked in because it's at 100%. But it's barely audible. It's barely audible. So actually, based on what I see on the waveform, I'm actually exposed around 60% my face, which is actually correct exposure for S-Log3. So maybe this light is enough. Maybe this light is enough for such setup. I mean, it's on a verge on 4 stops of ND and it's running at full power. That means that this power bank would be able to power this for probably 1 hour. It has 99 watt hours, so yeah, 1 hour. Although I think it claims more. Let me see what it claims. It claims 1.2 hours, which is weird. It is probably actually under an hour, but I think this exposure is actually okay. I'm judging from the look with the S-Log LUT, normal LUT. I mean, it's from this application Monitor Plus, so I'm not sure it's a Sony LUT or their custom LUT, but I'd say it is not bad. So the camera is ZV-E10, S-Log 3, 4 stops of ND. The lens is Samyang 24 f2.8 and this is f2.8. Actually, I think it doesn't look bad, although probably the background is too bright. Like this looks like the exposure is fake, because before the background and myself, they were kinda even. Now only the brightest parts of the background are even with my face. So yeah, let me go lower. So this is 75% with Amaran reflector, and I think it's still okayish. Maybe let me go to 50 and see how that looks. I think that 50 is too dim, although maybe it's not really that bad. I mean, it looks less fake than when it is higher. So maybe 60. Yeah, this is 60%. I think it's not bad. And my exposure is kinda even with the exposure of this brightest background. But maybe this shadow on this side and shadows and this side are too dark. That might be the case. So 60%, I don't know, 70 now. Doesn't look bad. I think I'm able to fight 4 stops of ND with this light, which is quite impressive, I have to say. And I haven't even put this Fresnel, so quite impressive. So I will switch to the other reflector to see, and then I will put the original one. The fan is still spinning, but it's really, maybe you can hear it. Definitely the birds here are louder and someone is screaming. So now it's a Godox. Reflector at 70%, and I think that this exposure is lower with this Godox reflector. I'm going to 100 and I think it's definitely lower, and also the shape, it's like it ends here, and I think before it was bigger spread and it was brighter. I don't know, that's what I think. So this is the Godox reflector at 100%. This is at 90%. Based on what I see, I think the exposure is lower. This is at 80. This at 70. The kind of lame thing is that the exposure of the background changes a bit. And now 60%. And someone is shouting. And 50. So 50, I think it's too dark. So that's the Godox reflector via the mode converter and with 4 stops of ND at 50%. Okay, so now I have the Godox original reflector back. This one with 15 degrees angle. So let me see how that looks at 50. Whoa, it's much brighter. and it's maybe not that bad, but I can see that like there is definitely like hot spot on my face, and then the rest is darker, and I think the exposure ends here, like the proper exposure ends here, somewhere here. So let me see what ELZone says. Like ELZone, it says it's okay, so maybe it's actually okay. So maybe with this reflector I would be able to fight 5 stops, maybe. I don't know, maybe I will try it in a second. So these are 4 stops with this Godox reflector at 50%, and maybe it's a bit too dark, so it is at 60%, and I think it looks better. So I have to see this on a bigger screen. I mean, it's a 80-inch iPad mini. The screen is quite good, although maybe I have to set this up. Oh, it is the maximum brightness, so might be the case like the screen is too bright and it's hard to judge the exposure looking at the, and now the sun is out. Now the sun is out, but it moved, so I'm in the shadow of the tree behind me, and the brightest part is somewhere there. So I still have, maybe it depends how I move my head, but before I had some highlights here. Now I don't see these highlights. Maybe there is still one highlight here in my hair, but other than that, no. So let me check. 70%. It is quite bright. It might be too bright already, and this looks fake, I think. At 80, this is 80, quite bright. 90. And the annoying thing is that this shadow is quite harsh, but I think it's 100%. I think that it looks much better with the light than without the light, although probably like 60 is proper exposure, and at 60 probably I'm able to run it for 1 hour or 1 hour and a half. Well, should be 1 hour and a half, probably it would be 1 hour and 20 minutes. So it is not that bad. So I will have to see this on a bigger screen, and just for fun I will add 5 stops of ND to see if this is able to fight 5 stops of ND. I doubt it, but maybe it would be reasonable. Okay, now this is a 5 stops of ND, so it is really dark. Although this background is still visible, but the shadows are crushed, so probably this doesn't make sense, but it is at 100%. And I think it is still usable. I'm like still this 2.5 meters from that light. It's really bright. I'm really surprised. But in theory, this has like 33,000 lux at 1 meter. So at 2 meters, it is 8, I think. So 8 should be enough to fight 5 stops of ND actually. So yeah, it's interesting and impressive. It's hard to tell, like it is blinding me a bit, so it's really hard to tell the exposure is correct, but it might be even a bit overexposed. I turn on the EL zones. No, it's not. It's not. It's like on the verge of being proper exposure. I think it's proper exposure on my face. The rest might be too dark. Might be too dark because this ray of light, like you can see, I'm moving and I'm immediately off when I move a bit. So the rate of and actually like probably here is this hot spot, because if I move back, like my face, I think already of that hot spot. So hard to say. Now I looked into the CoB, so I don't see anything, but yeah, I think this light is actually impressive. Like, of course it is with the Fresnel, it is just 15 degrees beam angle. So if I put this on for example 600 or 1200, that probably burn my face off, but still very impressive. 5 stops of ND, f2.8, ISO 800, and shutter angle 180 degrees. Yeah, I have to say it is impressive. It is impressive. Just for fun, I will switch to bigger reflector to see. Probably it doesn't make any sense, but why not? Since I'm here already, you can see how crushed the picture is. Like, maybe the stuff in the background has proper exposure, like +1. So let me see. Maybe, but I think it's a bit too dark. It's at 100% with Amaran reflector, and I think this thing is nice. I don't know if that would be this 36, probably with 5 stops it would be too dark, but hard to say. And this one, I mean, sure, if I pretend it's evening, maybe someone would believe it, that it's quite dark and I have external light, and maybe someone would believe it. But I think that exposure of the background is too dark with 5 stops of ND. Of course, that would be a different story if I'm outside in the sun, so that won't cut it. I mean, it depends, because usually 5 stops are enough when I'm in a direct sun in Poland, because the Poland, it's like I'm at around, I think, 58 degrees of the latitude, I think so, but maybe I'm wrong. So the sun is not that harsh even in the summer, but that's the Amaran reflector with at 100%. So yeah, for gigs I would check the Godox one. This is, I think, too dark. Like, the exposure of my face is a bit too dark at 100% with this reflector, but it is still very impressive. And because this is the 100 watt CoB. Now it's a Godox reflector. I can definitely see that this Godox reflector is darker. It is at 100%. But this is still very impressive, because this light is powered from the power bank. From small power bank, like size of my palm. So this is very impressive. So the Godox reflector is a no-go. The included one is really nice. With the included one I can fight 5 stops of ND, in my opinion. I will switch to this actually. And the Amaran one is, I think, a bit too dark at 5 stops, but still very impressive. This might be actually too bright now. I don't know. It's hard to judge on this screen. I have to judge it I have to judge it at home on a big screen. Like, in theory, this is proper exposure for S-Log3, because it says it's +1 on my face, and there are few spots that might be, of course, like this side of my face is underexposed, because how the reflector works and how tight that beam is. But actually I have to say this thing is quite impressive. Now the sun is out. I'm not sure I'm backlit by it. Yes, I should be backlit. So maybe there are some highlights in my hair. There should be. So it is actually, that light is actually fighting 5 stops of ND. But you can see that, like, the bright part is like my face is bright, and the bright, I looked at the light again, and like the bright part ends here, and this is getting much darker compared to the bigger reflector. So actually I am able to fight 5 stops with included reflector. I'm actually surprised. I'm actually surprised. And regarding the quality, I don't see, at least on this small monitor, I don't see any weird casts of color. And when I'm looking at this t-shirt in real life and on the screen, it looks quite the same. So, and something beat me. So actually it's impressive. So I guess I will switch back to the bigger reflector, and maybe even with this one it's okay. And I think like the exposure on my torso is better with this one. I can check this with Sekonic how much. I don't need to set any filters. I think it is like 7500 for, or 4, no, I think it's 4. I can check this because I made a calculator how many lux you need to fight each ND filter set for S-Log. So let me check what is the exposure on my face, and it says 7590 lux, which is actually enough to fight 5 stops of ND. Okay, so this is with the normal reflector, and the sun is now just behind really thick cloud, so that's why everything in the background is really dark, because these are 5 stops of ND. But I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed, but made a mistake again and looked at the light and the reflector. But this is actually impressive. This is actually impressive. Maybe I should lower a bit the light to have better exposure on my torso. Now I think it's too low. Yes, it's too low. I mean, this reflector is 45 degrees, but now it might be too high. But with this CoB, it is not optimized for this CoB. So I think that like it is not fully 45. Like as you've seen on the wall inside, there were some additional rings. So maybe the whole ring was 45 degrees, but the actual hotspot is smaller. But still, it seems that maybe I have to check on the bigger screen if this exposure is okay. On this screen, exposure of my face looks okay. The rest is trash, I know, because it's too dark with 5 stops. But the question is if this is able to fight 5 stops, and I'm 2.5 meters from the light. So if I'm getting closer, then I'm overexposed. You can clearly see that I'm overexposed. But when I'm here at 2.5 meters, and now the sun is out, and you can see that the background is actually bright, I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic for the price. It's a fantastic light, and especially that I can run it from this. And of course I can run it from my power station, and the plus is if I run it from my power station, I will run it from the USB-C, so that would be a DC, so I won't lose the 20% of the power to convert the DC to AC, and then the light would convert it back, and I have to bring the power brick. So actually, if I want to run it at 100% for 8 hours, my power station is, I think, so I could run it for 4 hours from my power station. So yeah, and with this power bank I can run it for an hour, and with the other one also close to an hour. So with 2 power banks I can run it for a long period of time. So yeah, I'm really impressed. And if you want to see what are the specs of this light, you can see like 10 other paid reviews. This one is not paid because I bought it with my own money on Amazon, so I don't care if it's good or bad, but at the moment I think it's good. but I have to see this on a bigger screen to judge it. But it seems that with the included reflector and amaranth reflector, I'm able to fight 5 stops of ND, although judging from the both waveform and the other thing, I never know what's the name of these tools. It might be a bit on the darker side, but still, these are 5 stops of ND. So very, very impressive performance from this small light. And still, I can hear it, but these singing birds are much, much, much louder. So I have to say that I'm impressed after seeing this on the spot. I have to see this on the bigger monitor, but I think it would be impressive too. So I'm packing this up and I will go and check this on a bigger screen. Cheers, mate.